It was an off-season full of change.
The situation was very unfair to me. Gary, guys.
I never wanted this day to come. Retire from the National Football League.
The kick's away. Bailey. Yes!
But your new-look Cowboys are young.
Michael Gallup.
You don't want to just be a young team. You want to be a young, good team.
They're hungry.
And that's Taco Charlton.
I mean, I don't think our D-line will be scared of a quarterback.
Every day you got to fight for it till you get there.
We could be great, man.
And have something to prove.
I think this whole team does. So, yeah, of course I do.
I want to prove I'm the best back in the game.
It all starts today in Carolina.
It's about what we do as a unit.
It's the season debut of Cowboys Gameday on CBS 11.
Oh, what a glorious Sunday morning it is in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't care how cloudy it is. This is a glorious Sunday morning at Bank of America Stadium. And here in the CBS 11 studios, it is the first Sunday of the National Football League regular season, the 21st season of Cowboys Game Day, Cowboys and Carolina Panthers. I'm Bill Jones, along with the Pro Football Hall of Famer, the Manster Randy White, back for another season. This is now 21 seasons, Randy, of Cowboys Game Day.
And you know what? I get just as excited every year as I did the first year for these shows. I'm so glad to have football around the corner this afternoon and getting ready to play real games with the real team out there. So I'm excited.
Our long national nightmare is over. It lasted about 8 months of this off season. And finally, we get the first Sunday of the NFL season. And of course, joining us as usual on Cowboys Game Day, Keith Russell, who traveled with the team to Charlotte on Saturday and is already first person in the building at Bank of America Stadium. Hello, Keith, and what's the weather like there?
Hey, Bill. Hey, Randy. It's a little overcast. They expect some rain during the game. And, yes, I was here bright and early, bushy-tailed. I'm ready, and I believe so is this team. You know, we walk in and we get this thing right here. And I start flipping through it, and I'm like, Cam. I don't want to see that mess anymore. It's our team against their one player. That's what it comes down to. And we're going to kick this thing off right today, fellas.
And we've got a lot to get to over the course of the next half hour, as we alluded to off the top. What an offseason of change for the Cowboys. And today we start finding out what these new-look Cowboys really look like. Yes, we got a glimpse of Jalen Smith in training camp in the preseason. He was one of the stars of August, but he says he has a chip on his shoulder to show what he can do. Dak Prescott looked efficient in the 2 preseason games we saw him in, but the first-team offense has been shut down for 3 weeks now, and we didn't see Zeke at all. Sounds like everyone has something to prove starting today.
Not making the playoffs last year, the season we had, the season I had. Yeah, anytime I play the game, it's about where I was drafted and the people that were drafted before me. So, I mean, it's a bunch of things that create that chip.
Every receiver in that room got an edge on their shoulder, every single one. You know, I ain't the only one with the story who has something done to them. Everybody got it done to them, so we all coming with an edge.
Chip on my shoulder is just, just not, having a full year last year and just not performing the way I believe I could have.
Everybody's got a chip on their shoulder. Tavon was saying it on Tuesday, Zeke on Wednesday. Dak talked about it on Thursday. I'm so sick of hearing about chips on shoulders. I'm ready for some football. But Zeke, Randy, might have the biggest chip on his shoulder after last season.
Well, yeah, last year was a frustrating year for him, and I'm sure he's ready to go. I mean, we hadn't seen much of him here in this preseason, but I'm sure he's got that chip on his shoulder, and he's ready to get out there and show him what he can do.
Okay, no Zeke in a preseason game. I'll tell you what, I was out there the whole time in Oxnard for the first 3 weeks when I was out there. He looked good in practice. Is it a concern he didn't play in any preseason games?
No, I think that's a smart thing to do. Let him, as long as he's in shape, he's not hurt, he's getting his timing down, all those things, he'll be better for that in this first game because he's going to get a lot of touches on that football, running the ball and catching the football. So
I think I recall you missing a training camp once upon a time.
I missed a training camp, and I had my best year, Bill, because I went into the season not being beat up from going through the training camp, because we used to play the preseason games.
Right.
At least half of them were 3/4 of the game.
And then when you first came into the league, there were 6 preseason games, too. They cut that down in 77. Okay, how about, though, this offensive line for the Cowboys, the line that Zeke is running behind? Of course, it is much ballyhooed as the best offensive line in football, but now no Travis Frederick to start this season. You got a rookie at left guard. There are some problem areas with this Carolina team, too.
Well, that's a concern. I mean, the offensive line is what makes Zeke go. And you have a rookie guard playing in there, and you have a backup center, and you got a couple all-pro defensive linemen playing for the other side. That's got to concern you.
And Carolina acquired Dontari Poe, a free agent, who Travis Frederick would have some difficulty with a time or two when he's faced him. So he'll probably be lined up against Looney a lot. And then K'Wan Short, another 2-time Pro Bowler, will probably be lined up against Connor Williams a lot.
Well, and they got Kuechly back there, and if he's smart, if I'm him looking at the other side, I'm going to throw some different looks out there, and I try and confuse them young guys and throw them off. So we'll see if that happens.
Yep, and Luke Kuechly, of course, a 5-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, and he makes most all the tackles for Carolina, and they've got quite a linebacking core. Missing Thomas Davis, who's suspended to start the season. Of course, we talk about the changes for the Cowboys this offseason. Des Bryant no longer here, Dan Bailey, Jason Witten as well. But Keith Russell, this is clearly Dak Prescott's team, and when you look at Dak, he can handle the load as far as leadership is concerned. Now we'll see how he'll perform.
Well, Bill, he's a natural-born leader. They say he's been a leader since his football career started. He was a leader at Mississippi State. He's a leader right now. He came into the Cowboys organization as a leader. But, yes, the ball is in his court. It's definitely in his hands. He wears the number 4, and 4 is the key number. Is he the guy who only threw 4 picks in his rookie year, or is he the guy who threw 13 last year? That's what we want to find out. A lot is riding on the Cowboys in terms of Dak's performance. A lot is riding on his young career. He puts up monster stats, he gets that monster payday. He puts up monster stats, the Cowboys have a monster season. It is his world, and he's ready to claim it. He's let it be known he's not afraid of the challenge.
You know, and Randy, when you look at him, I'm sure that he loves today finally getting here because he doesn't have to hear all those questions about a sophomore slump last year.
Oh, yeah. He's tired of hearing that, and then they're talking about having that chip on their shoulder. They're ready to get out there and play football and show people what they can do. And I'm sure Dak is chomping at the bits. He's listening to the sophomore slump all off-season, all preseason. He's ready to get out there and have a big day today, and hopefully he will.
Hey, and Keith, the big question is, who's he going to be throwing the football to? With what the Cowboys have done at the wide receiver position and at tight end. Well, let's talk wide receiver first. I'm not sure who's going to step up. It's going to be a wide receiver by committee.
Well, Bill, and Randy, as I was coming over on this trip to Carolina and we were on the plane and on the bus, I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Tavon Austin. Oh, yeah, that's Deontay Thompson. Oh, yeah, I forgot Terrence Williams was on that team. There's Cole Beasley and there's Michael Gallup. And my point is, sometimes you have to stop and think they're all the same guy. But we need these guys to produce one guy, 1 or 2 guys that can stretch the field, make some plays, because right now they all blend together, and we need somebody to stand out on that receiving corps.
And Randy, you look at we talked about off the top that the first-team offense wasn't together in preseason games. They got a lot of practice time together. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Cowboys at the receiver position. But how about at tight end? No Jason Witten. Of course, he was Tony Romo's best friend and pretty much was Dak Prescott. So when it came to third down, he and Cole Beasley his rookie season. But these tight ends, so everyone's going to have an eye on these guys today.
Well, they're going to have an eye on the tight ends, the receivers, the whole deal, and hopefully someone is going to emerge as the player and the playmaker out there. And especially, with these wide receivers, if I'm the Cowboys and that Carolina comes out there and puts 8 guys up in the box, I hike the football, I let Dax drop back, and I start throwing bombs until they get out of that 8-man front, and I make some big plays and put some points on the board, and we put an end to all this 8-man front stuff the first game.
Well, that was part of the strategy this offseason. Get speed at the wide receiver position and an emphasis on route running as well. All right, coming up here on Cowboys Game Day, the Cowboys have 2 players over the age of 30 on their roster. Is that a good thing? But first, time for our Cowboys Game Day trivia question. 3 quarterbacks have started for both the Cowboys and the Panthers. Can you name them? We'll have the answer after the break. 3 Cowboys have started for the Cowboys.
3?
Cowboys and the Panthers, 3 quarterbacks. In our Cowboys Game Day trivia question, we told you 3 quarterbacks have started for both the Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. Did you name them? The answer, I got Steve Berline right, but how about Rodney Peete and Vinny Testaverde?
We've gotten younger quickly. You don't want to just be a young team. You want to be a young, good team.
And boom, what a tackle.
We're embracing the youth of our team. There are a lot of strengths to that, and hopefully we can get experience fast.
There are advantages to youth on an NFL team. Welcome back to Cowboys Game Day. 3:25 kickoff this afternoon. The Cowboys and the Panthers. Bill Jones and Randy White here in the CBS 11 studios. On the road with the Cowboys, Keith Russell in Charlotte. Cowboys have one of the youngest teams in the league. 2 players over the age of 30 now on the team. That would be Sean Lee and the long snapper LP Ladisar. All right, Randy, your Dirty Dozen Cowboys of 1975 had 10 players 30 or over on the team. The Cowboys Super Bowl team in 92, the Cowboys Super Bowl team in 71 had exactly 10 players over the age of 30. Last year's Philadelphia Eagles that won the Super Bowl had 10 players, more than 10 players over the age of 30. Is it a problem the Cowboys only have 2?
Well, I don't think it's a problem, but ideally you would like to have players on your football team that have been in playoffs, played in Super Bowls, and then with the young guys come in, you kind of guide them and show them the way to get there. Now, if you don't have those players on your team like the Cowboys now, they're just a bunch of young guys. Now, that doesn't mean to say they can't go out and start making things happen, but they're going to have to build that and experience that as they go along.
Keith, what do you think? Are these Cowboys too young?
Well, Bill and Randy, I haven't seen 30 in so long, I don't know what too young is. You're talking to a 44-year-old man. But the bottom line is I feel youth is obviously on the Cowboys' side. I think they needed to get younger at some positions. I think where they have speed and they have youth, I think it's going to pay off in the long run, especially the cornerback position, the linebacker position, defensive line. Obviously, you lump Dak and Zeke in there. They're young, but they're stars. So I don't worry about the youth. They're going to make mistakes as a collective. But as they round things out, I think it's going to benefit them in years to come.
All right, Keith Russell, 44-year-old Keith Russell revealing that here on Cowboys Game Day. We're not, Randy and I are not going to reveal.
Yeah, we're not talking how long it's been since I've seen 40, Bill.
All right, how good can the Cowboys defense really be? The Manster tackles that question. It all starts with the Hot Boys. We'll hear from them next on Cowboys Game Day.
It's time for the Nissan On the Road Report. Shop ChooseNissan.com.
And we call ourselves Hot Boys for a reason, you know. We're going to stand on fire all year long. We're going to get after that quarterback.
There's that mindset that we're going to take over. We're going to come in games. We're going to have our own attitude. We're going to play our game. We're going to bring our swag, and we're going to take over.
Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank of America Stadium. We're getting set for NFL kickoff 2018. The Cowboys and the Panthers. Amazing that we just played that Hot Boys tune there. That's exactly what Randy White was listening to in his truck on the way in today, right, Randy?
Yo, that was it, Bill, for sure.
I don't recall the doomsday defense of the 60s or 70s when you played, having the term Hot Boys for the front four of Too Tall Jones, Harvey Martin, Randy White, and John Dutton.
Well, I don't know how Hot Boys would have fit in back then, but with this group, if they're the Hot Boys, hey, let's let them get hot and let them get out there and get after that quarterback and play good defense, and this football team will be a whole lot better off if they can do that.
Well, and it starts at the defensive end position for the Hot Boys, as Tank Lawrence was talking about there. He's on one side. We'll see How they'll use Randy Gregory, they may limit his snaps today, and it's going to be a week-to-week proposition as far as Randy Gregory is concerned, just staying eligible this season. There are new reports out this morning from ESPN that things could be happening this coming week there, but the Cowboys have known that all along once he came back from his suspension. So how big are the defensive ends against Cam Newton today?
Well, you got to pressure Cam Newton. You can't let him sit back there and throw the football because he'll kill you throwing the football. He'll kill you. He can hurt you running the football. Cam Newton is an excellent player. So these defensive ends are going to have to put pressure on him. But you also have to, the guys in the middle have got to get some penetration up there to keep him from stepping up and scrambling and making some plays when he steps up. So it's got to be a group effort on that pass rush. But if we can get a pass rush like everybody's anticipating, this team is going to be a whole lot better off playing defense.
And, of course, Tank Lawrence had a 14-sack season last year. It was his coming out party. He's the franchise player this year, and he's playing for a big multi-year contract that hopefully he'll get after this season. Will it be interesting, those inside guys. Antoine Woods was the surprise of training camp, went from 4th string to 1st string, and Malik Collins, we didn't see him at all in the preseason, but he should be playing today. Now, as far as the linebackers are concerned, everybody's excited about Jalen Smith alongside Sean Lee at linebacker.
Well, and he's been studying with Sean Lee, and Sean Lee's been teaching him how to study and how to watch film and how to learn, and if he'll pay attention to that, you know, last year a lot of the time he ended up on the wrong side of the block, and it was hard for him to get across that face and make the play.
Can he learn from that?
Yes, he can. We watch that film, and he can learn from it, whether it was just lack of experience or being hampered by the injury, but whatever that is, he seems to be not making that mistake as often this year at that spot. And if he can do that and Sean Lee can stay healthy, now we got a linebacker crew that can really make things happen.
All right, at the cornerback position, they moved Byron Jones from safety back to cornerback, but Chido Awuzie may have been one of the stars of training camp, the left cornerback, wearing Everson Wall's old number 24, came up with a very nice interception in the preseason that showed his playmaking abilities, and they need to be able to turn the football over, and he may be the starter there.
Well, it all goes together, Bill. You know, if these guys back there or get aggressive, I think their new coach back there has got a lot to do with that for that whole defense. But, you know, if we get the pass rush, you're going to see these guys, if they get aggressive and take some chances back there in that defensive backfield, they're going to get those turnovers we want. And so that's important.
And, of course, Chris Richard is the new Cowboys defensive pass game coordinator after being the defensive coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, against this Carolina Panther team, defending Cam Newton, that will be interesting. And I also think what will be interesting, Norv Turner is the new offensive coordinator for Carolina. And what kind of effect will Norv Turner have on Cam Newton? Will he run as much as he has in the past? We shall see.
Well, we'll see, but Cam Newton is, whatever Norv Turner has in store for him, Cam Newton is an excellent athlete, and he will be able to execute it. So the way we have to stop him is put the pressure on him when he drops back to throw that football, control him, and really pop him when he tries to run the football. We got to nail him, and we got to get that running back, too, that little running back.
Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey can create havoc. I mean, he's deceptively, he's a little quick guy. He's like Beasley in the backfield, man. He can go and make plays.
He had 80 catches out of the backfield last year as a rookie out of Stanford. He was the 8th pick in the draft last year, and I think they'll use him. They'll run him more from a running back position this year, although he is a little guy. They also picked up C.J. Anderson, who had a 1,000-yard season for the Broncos. And so, as you know, with Norv Turner, he is intent on establishing the run. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the linebackers and the safeties. And don't forget about Greg Olsen, who's been hampered by a back injury a little bit. And talking with some of the Cowboys insiders, Leighton Vander Esch, the first-round draft pick, he might be a matchup against Greg Olsen because of his length and size. But it's a rookie against a crusty old veteran. And I don't know if I like that matchup or not in the first game of his career. All right, coming up here, it's prediction time. Do the Cowboys win the East? The Manster is fired up.
The on-time delivery is sponsored by UPS. Future you. Apply now at upsjobs.com.
And Ezekiel Elliott needs to deliver this season for the Cowboys to get back to the playoffs. His 2017 season cut short by suspension, of course. He fell just shy of 1,000 yards rushing. In his 3rd year, Elliott is out to prove he's the best running back in the league.
On this day, 11 years ago, Wade Phillips made his head coaching debut with the Cowboys. Tony Romo threw for 345 yards and 4 touchdowns. Terrell Owens caught 2 of the 4 scoring passes as the Cowboys opened the season with a 45-35 victory over the New York Giants on September 9th, 2007. It's time for the Nissan Drive to Success. Shop ChooseNissan.com.
A look at the NFC East, sponsored by Nissan. And the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, win on Thursday night, so they are all alone in first place. Cowboys playing at the Panthers, Washington playing at Arizona, and the Giants are hosting the Jags in your first Sunday of this NFL season. There it is. It'll be crowded this afternoon at 3:25 our time. The Cowboys and the Panthers as Dallas tries to start this season 1-0. And now time for our annual predictions here. Bill Jones, Randy White, Keith Russell with the Cowboys in Charlotte. We want a Cowboys record. Who wins the NFC East? Your Super Bowl teams and who wins today? Let's start with you, Keith.
Hey, Bill, Cowboys, I'm on the fence between 9-7 and 10-6. The Eagles win the NFC East unless the Cowboys jump on them before Carson Wentz comes back. Minnesota and Jacksonville in the Super Bowl on CBS. And if you don't think the Cowboys are going to win today against that one-man team, I brought my favorite candy. This is what you are. It's called an airhead, baby. Cowboys win today.
All right, Randy, you got a Cowboys record this season.
10-6.
10-6. I thought you'd go 16-0.
Well, I kind of...
As we go through this season, it will, if you count them up, it'll be 16-0.
It'll be 16-0, Bill, until we get there.
Who wins the East?
Well, the Cowboys.
The Cowboys win the... Okay, I actually have the... I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys go 5-11. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 11-5. So I'm going 11-5. They win the East. Who are your Super Bowl teams?
Well, I'm going to pick the Cowboys, and who cares who else is there, Bill?
All right, don't hit me, Randy. I got the Packers and the Patriots, with the Packers winning. And so Randy's got the Cowboys winning today. I've got it. The Cowboys winning 23-20 on a Brett Maher 57-yard field goal. That does it for Cowboys Game Day. We got the Texans and Patriots, my AFC Championship preview at noon.